On this 2010 Chevrolet Silverado Crew Cab 3500, we're going to show you the Firestone Air Command One, part number F2158. This is what it looks like when it's installed in a truck. This makes inflating airbags very convenient at the push of a button. We have our control located in a typical situation. You can mount this anywhere you'd like though on the vehicle. Simple operation. Push up to increase the air pressure. You can see how the gauge reacts. And then when you need to lower the air pressure, push down on it. The gauge is very small and compact up, so you can mount it in a variety of places on your truck. And our gauge here is also illuminated when you turn on the lights. Next, we'll go ahead and show how we installed it on our truck. Let's go ahead and cover some of the parts that come in the kit. First off, this is our wire harness right here. This is our fuse holder for a wire harness. It gets connected up to the battery. And then the rest of the wire harness will go out towards our compressor, except for the white wire, which will go inside the cab towards the gauge. This is our compressor right here, standard duty compressor, which will work fine in this setup for our airbags on our truck. Now our airbags are already been previously installed in our vehicle, so this is actually going to be an upgrade to what it has now. This is our gauge right here. It's used to control the system. A very simple setup. You got your pressure gauge right here and your switch that you use to operate. On the back side here, we have our wires for our controller from the compressor pump, and we also have some wires that go to the illumination, so when you turn on your headlights, this dial is illuminated. To complete the run from our air gauge to our compressor and also the airbags, there's also a nice length of airline tubing that comes with the kit. Next up is the intake for the compressor. It comes with a filter right here, and also the hardware to connect to the airline tubing. It also comes with two extra little filters for replace it periodically. Next up is our package for hardware. Of course, we got the red zip ties, some hardware to install our gauges, and also some hardware to attach our compressor pump. And a T is also included, connect two airbags together, and then it goes up to our pump. All right, now we've covered the parts that come with the kit. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in action. Our first step is finding a location for our compressor. We're going to mount ours on the frame right between where the bed and the cab meet. We can get easier access behind the frame to install our hardware in this area right here. So using a 3/16 drill bit, I'm going to go ahead and use the compressor as a template to mark our frame so we can drill our holes out. Get our holes marked. Now we'll go ahead and drill out 3/16. Now we'll go ahead and cover our hardware that will be used to install our compressor. Bolt and flat washer will go through the mounting point. And on the inside of the frame, we'll get another flat washer and then the lock nut. This will be the same at all 4 points of contact. We'll loosely install one and then install the rest of them. Now, once we have all the hardware loosely installed, we'll tighten it down using a number 2 Phillips screwdriver and a 3/8 wrench on the nut on the inside. Now we just want to snug these down. Lock nuts will hold everything in place. We don't have to crush it. For our compressor in place, we'll go ahead and start working with our wire harness. From our relay, this orange wire will go to the red wire. Let's go ahead and route it the way we want it, and we'll connect the two together. They just simply push, and you're done. It's a good idea to maybe apply some electrical tape to help protect it from the elements as well. Next up, our ground wire. I'm going to actually attach that to the cab of the truck since it's grounded as well. We'll right behind the body mount, following our original wire. And we'll attach the sheet metal right here. Now I'm actually going to use a self-tapping screw that does not come with the kit. Now it'll take a few moments to go ahead and run our wire harness up towards the front of the truck and towards the battery. Here's our orange wire here. And basically for now, we're just going to follow the factory wire harness going up towards the front of the truck. Here's our relay again. We got lucky enough, we actually can hide it up here and attach it to the sheet metal. Eventually we'll use another self-tapping screw to hold it in place. Continuing on, working our way up towards the front of a truck. Again, following the wire harness. It'll be easy to zip tie. And we'll take our wires here and run up between the fender liner and up into the engine compartment. Here's our fuse holder that goes to the battery. We also want to make sure that our white wire also goes up as well. Now I'm using a pull wire to help take this up into the engine compartment. Now I'm using an old piece of airline tubing. This could be any piece of material that can hold its shape and you can guide it up towards the top. Once I have this routed towards the battery, then I'll come back and we'll go ahead and zip tie our wires and secure our excess. Okay, now it'll take a few moments to zip tie our wires and secure them. Chances are you'll probably end up using all your zip ties in this process, so it's always a good idea to get some extra zip ties when you're working with wiring. Also cut off the tails of our zip ties. Next, we'll go ahead and work our air line going to our airbags from our compressor. Now remember, our truck's being upgraded from pre-existing install. So here's our air springs and here's our air line. Our air lines, we're actually going to recycle these guys. What we'll end up doing is running our air lines from our airbags up towards the front of a truck and eventually into our controller that will go underneath the dash. Now if you wanted to keep this in place, no problem. You just have to tee into it and run some extra line going to the compressor. To recycle our lines, we'll just go ahead and disconnect them from the pre-existing valves. To remove them, we're just going to use a 1/4-inch wrench on the ring, push in, and then pull out the air line. Then we'll take our air lines loose. So to recycle our lines, all we need to do is run our passenger side over to our driver's side. And this is our driver's side airline right here. Here's the passenger airline tubing. We'll cut off the excess on our tubing and we'll add our T. Now I'm using a tubing color for this purpose. I'm using part number F9009. We'll go ahead and make sure we have a square cut on our tubing. That's essential for a good seal. Okay, let's go ahead and put our T on. We just basically push it on until it stops, then push one more time. Now we can go ahead and use some of our supplied airline tubing to run from here up towards the front of the truck. Okay, we'll go ahead and show you how we ran our airline. Basically, off our bag on our driver's side, we followed the parking brake cable going up, went up to the top of the frame when we could, and then basically followed the pre-existing factory wiring just like our other wires did going up towards the front. And we ran up in the same direction going up to the engine compartment as well. We'll leave our airline tubing loose for now because eventually we'll have to run another length of airline back to our compressor. Next up, we have to go ahead and get access from the outside to the inside for air lines and our one piece of wiring. To do that, we're going to have to drill a hole. There's not a really readily available grommet we can use. So looking straight back above the brake pedal, in this area right here, we can just pull back. And we'll go ahead and drill a pilot hole in it first, using a 1/4-inch drill bit. And next up, we're going to use a step bit to increase the hole size to the diameter we need. We'll also install a bushing as well. We'll be using part number SWC8057. All right, let's go ahead and put our bushing into place. Just push it in until it snaps. Let's go ahead and take our airline tubing and run it to the inside. We'll go ahead and get it started through our bushing. Next, we're going to take this and tape it to the end of our airline tubing and use that to pull it to the inside. Definitely was a tight fit with the terminal in place. We'll go ahead and pull up all our slack. Now we have these two inside the cab. We'll go ahead and cut our air line to length. We'll forget about the white wire for now. And we'll cut to length where we're going to put our air gauge. In this case, it's going to be in this general area right here. So we'll go ahead and cut our airline tubing short. Now the rest of our airline tubing can be used to go back towards the compressor. So we'll go ahead and run this back through and on down. Okay, we'll pull our airline tubing and we'll go straight back down to our compressor. Once we have our airlines ran, now it'd be a good idea to go ahead and mark them in some way so you don't get them confused. So I'm just going to use a marker and we'll just go ahead and put a line or something, anyway, any kind of mark to notate which one is which. So I got black, I just made a black line on this one. So this one's labeled for out to our airbags, and then this one will go out to our compressor. Since we're here, let's go ahead and hook up our air lines to our gauge. We'll do them one at a time to help them slip them on. It's a good idea to put these in some hot water and let them soak for a while. That'll heat them up and allow them to stretch over the barb fittings. So our compressor will go into this barb fitting right here. Now we'll take our remaining airline and attach to this barb fitting right here. Let's move on to our first wiring connection for our gauge right here. Remember this wire that came from the relay underneath the truck? This will go to one of the white wires. Doesn't matter which one, just push it together till it snaps. It might make a small click or till it stops. Then we'll take our other one. This one needs to go to ground, so we'll go ahead and cut this off so we can work with it. Now since this wire is going to ground, our illumination circuit is going to need a ground wire as well. This is for the illumination here. I'll unravel the wires. And again, it doesn't matter which one, but we'll take one of these and we're going to attach it to our white wire because we need ground for this wire as well. We'll use the provided quick splice connector. We'll snap it over one wire. And then our other wire that'll be ground also will slide right next to it. We'll complete the connection by using some pliers to press down on the metal clip right here, and that'll complete the circuit between the two. And we can go ahead and cut off our excess. On the other end of a white wire, we'll go ahead and strip it back and add the provided ring terminal. Now we're going to take a moment to install our gauge. We're going to use this area right here. Again, it's largely personal preference. You can mount it up higher or lower as you need to. Now the kit does come with the same hardware that you used to install a compressor earlier, but it's really hard to get to the backside of the plastic here, but there's a small gap. So once again, we're going to use our sheet metal screws, or self-tapping screws in our case. Let's have it loosely installed for now, and then we'll make final adjustments and then tighten them down by hand. For our ground wire, we can go ahead and use some sheet metal that's just right behind the gauge, basically in this area right here. So we'll use another self-tapping screw. I'll go ahead and add the screw first and then my terminal. Now this is a wire for our illumination circuit. Now it comes already stripped, so we're going to add a length of wire to it to go over we're going to use for illumination. Under the truck is pretty well packed, so what we're going to do is actually add a long length of wire. So we're going to use a buck connector. It does not come with the kit, and a longer piece of wire to add to it, which also does not come with the kit. We'll go ahead and take this wire and run it out our opening that we did for our other airlines. Now we made all the connections we can on the inside of the truck, so we'll go ahead and take a moment now to bundle up our wires and also our airline tubing to keep them out of the way. Let's go back underneath the hood of our truck. We'll go ahead and take our wire for our illumination circuit. I'm going to route that back down, just like we did with our airline tubing before. And we'll hook up to a running light circuit in the wire harness that runs along the rail. I'm just going to run this along the edge here to a convenient spot where we can easily access our wire. Again, this is personal preference. We'll make our attachment right here. We'll go ahead and pull out the wire we need. In this case, it's going to be brown. It's always a good idea to double check it for function before you make your splice. Let's go ahead and try it out to make sure. I'll go ahead and grout it to this existing bolt right here. Looks like we're good. Now we identified the wire, we'll go ahead and cut it in half. Strip the wire back. Twist it in, make sure it gets a good grip on the butt connector. We'll go ahead and bring our wire for our illumination circuit. We'll cut that to length. Strip it back as well. Then I'm going to take these two and put them together. We'll use a heat shrink butt connector in this application. We'll apply heat to our butt connector, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall it back into our wire harness. Let's go ahead and connect our airline tubing. That'll go to our output from our compressor. There's a little plug that we have to remove. I like to leave that in place while I install the compressor. Then we'll install the airline fitting. You notice it's got some sealant on the threads. We'll go ahead and just thread that on until it meets the thread, and maybe about 1.5 turns. Let's go ahead and put our airline into place. Now we need to add some airline tubing to this barb fitting right here. This is for the intake. Now at this point, we ran out of airline tubing that came with our compressor kit. Now we're actually using leftover material from our original airbag setup. Next, we'll go ahead and find a location for our air filter. Again, personal preference. Maybe enlarge this hole right here to make it work for easier access. There's also a pre-existing hole at this hatch channel right here. You can go ahead and snap it into place and use that. When you need to service it, all you gotta do is remove these 2 screws right here, and the unit comes apart. So we'll take our excess airline tubing, we'll put 1 loop in there, then we'll cut off our excess. We'll use included barb fitting and just thread it on. Don't have to crush it, but finger tight, and maybe a little bit of a turn with a wrench, but really doesn't take all that much. We'll take that and install it onto our air filter. We'll use a zip tie to help secure a loop. Let's go ahead and work for a fuse holder here. We'll go ahead and add a ring terminal to it. The one that comes with it is a little small for a terminal we're going to hook up on the battery, so we substitute that ring terminal with part number DW05702-1. We're going to add it to this post right here on the positive side of our battery, and we'll install a nut. Now the nut does not come with the truck or the kit. We'll tighten it down with a 12mm socket. We'll put our cap back into place. We have just enough room. Double check, make sure your fuse is in the fuse holder. Now we have everything electrically connected up. Let's let this sit and try it out. Once we're satisfied it works, we'll go ahead and take a few moments to bundle up our excess wire. Let's try it out. We push up on the button to operate it. And then to lower the pressure, push down on the button. And that's it. We can go ahead and check to make sure your illumination works as well. Now is a good time to go ahead and zip tie your wires and your airline tubing and make sure everything's nice and secure. With that, that'll finish it for the Firestone Air Command One, part number F2158 on this 2010 Chevrolet Silverado Crew Cab.